Hello, gentlemen. I'm on new sleeping meds, which means my compilation of videos is getting longer because I can't make them. Now, what do I want to talk about that I thought was so important that I'm putting off my sleeping meds? I just watched Boger's video, one last video before bed, right? And my problem was with it, he was like, you just gotta kill triple support. I personally don't think that's the answer. I don't think triple support is bad because of triple support. I think it's bad because they're really bad at character designs for triple support. Same reason why triple tank is terrible. Not to play against anyways. Not because triple tank as a concept is terrible to play against, but because they're bad at it. It's so rewarding to play Hood with triple tank because there's no trade-off. What do I mean by a trade-off? I mean, when you play triple tank, you should get more health bar, more to heal, more support ultimates, more sustain, essentially, but less damage. Less damage and more offensive utility. Utility to be used against the enemy. You have a lot more team utility and utility centered around sustain or negating damage, but you have a lot less offensive utility and a lot less damage because we're missing that second DPS. Currently, in the game, there is no need for that second DPS because the tanks can do that out. Now, how do we apply that to triple support? Well, in triple support, you should get more utility, less damage, maybe a little more healing. I don't think you should. I think a support doesn't need to be healing to do support stuff, and that would be a great support in triple support. Every single concept that I've pitched for a support in this game has gone, okay, maybe they can heal a little bit, but that healing shouldn't be their main thing. Because healing shouldn't be a support's main thing all of the time. Especially if you want to design a game where you can play 3 supports, okay? What do I mean by this? What do I mean by they're bad at it? Okay, well, Mantis. Mantis does pretty much the same damage as a DPS. It's harder to hit, but you kind of do the same damage. It's a little less after all the power scaling, but when the game first came out, and that's how we're looking at these designs, because the game first came out. She did pretty much the same damage as a DPS. A lot less healing. But she can self-heal and self-damage boost and damage boost her teammates. So we lost healing if you're playing her in double support, but now think about it. If I'm playing this character in triple support, I gained healing. I didn't lose damage. And I gained a damage boost on command whenever I want. No, you designed her to be terrible in every situation that's not triple support, and the best character in the game in triple support. Let's look at Adam. Adam, you know what? He kind of makes sense. He's got a miniature ultimate that's not really an ultimate in the same way the other ones do, where it heals you a bunch. It just unites all your health bars, and it's a little bit of healing over time. I think it's about 10 per second. And then he does pretty good damage, comparable to Hela, and he has a right click that shoots faster, but it's projectile, and it recharges. It's faster, but it's a projectile, more potential damage, but harder to hit all of it. You know what? That's a great character design. What does his ultimate do? Mantis' ultimate heals, and then it's a bunch of overhealth once you hit that thing. So essentially, it gives you armor, like Rocket Ult does now. So what does Adam do? It's a mass res. Anybody within the area gets res, but you're at 30% of your health. You only have 100 health, actually, on launch. Okay. Then power scaling starts, right? Power scaling starts, and they're not super affected by this. They nerfs up and down, but for the most part, everyone's power is going up, and they're not super affected by that yet. Then Ultron releases. Okay, Ultron can AFK heal. He doesn't have to think about it. There's no button, there's no utility, there's no usage. He just AFK heals all the time. Oh, and he provides shields to the person he's healing and everyone around them. Oh, and he does the damage of a DPS. Oh, but it's spread out over a long period of time. I don't think that matters. He does the damage and therefore the pressure of a DPS. He can 2-shot 250 if he's within 40 meters of them, I'm pretty sure. It's a massive range. It's actually infinite range and almost 0 fall off. Just enough fall off to where there's a certain point where you can't 2-shot 250, but almost no fall off. So you can just AFK heal, do the damage of a DPS, do extra shielding to yourself. Oh, and you have an escape tool. What? What are we doing? And then power scaling keeps going, and it keeps going, and it keeps going, and we keep buffing them. Okay, Mantis keeps getting buffs to her healing, to her damage, to her sleep. She keeps getting buffs to everything. No, Don't do that. Mantis is already broken design-wise. Fundamentally design-wise, it's broken. Adam, I thought was fine. You know what? His ability replaces his ultimate. His ultimate was bad, and so his ability, the Soul Bond, does kind of replace that. And you know what? I can appreciate that. Until they make his healing and they buff it, and then they buff the frequency of when you can get it, and then they buff the frequency again, and then they buff his ultimate, and then they buff his ultimate again. One of them was just a quality of life fix. 30% instead of 100 health flat. I can get behind that. I can get behind that. I can go, okay, that's balance. That's just quality of life. I can't get behind buffing the healing, because isn't the point that he does less healing, but more damage? So that way he doesn't replace a second support, and he is just functionally a Hela with more sustain, and that his healing gets worse the more people he's trying to heal, because he's only trying to play the off angle with himself and maybe one other person, because there was flank Adam. That was a thing for a bit, because that's how it's supposed to be played. But now Adam just has healing all the time, no matter what you do. You can't bait it out, nothing, because he can get it so fast. Oh, and then they gave Adam flight mode, the only buff he should have gotten at the beginning of the game that allows him to be more aggressive. But now that his healing is so good, and his ultimate is so good, and his soul bond is also so good, he's just better than everyone. I don't think the problem is the triple support. I think the problem is they saw someone like Ultron, and they went, the buff we give to Ultron? Damage boost. Because AFK healing, shielding without even looking at the person, a second drone that also does AFK healing, meaning you can expand the amount of AFK healing, wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. There should be a trade-off. The point, I don't think triple support in essence is a problem. Because, yeah, there's been problems with things like that before. But if there's a trade-off, there isn't a problem. The problem with Brig, at least to my knowledge, I never played Overwatch back during GOATS. Never did it. But the problem with Brig, to my knowledge, was that there was no trade-off for playing triple support with Brig. Playing with Brig. It's not like, oh, like 2-2-2 plus Brig, right? There's no trade-off to that, because there's no, oh, I'm losing damage. Because even in support, you gain healing, but you lose damage. If you take away from tank rule, you keep your damage, but you lose a lot of your sustain and your damage negation. If you take away from supports when you play triple tank, you lose a lot of your healing and your sustain and your utility for the team. But they don't design their characters. If it's a character designed for that, they don't design it for that. Like, the Hood works so well, he's just higher damage Emma. Shoot, block off healing, shoot faster, or in Emma's case, higher damage. And, sorry, I want to make that point later. Higher damage, damage negation form, so that way you can save yourself. Like, there's not much, like, he has a similar gameplay loop to it, except you can be more aggressive because his damage is much higher. You can force people to back off because his damage is much higher, because he can blind people because his shield negates so much more healing than Emma's does. Like, genuinely, the problem, I don't think, in my opinion, my humble opinion, is not triple support. I think it's how shit from ass these character designs have become. Because if the character designs weren't shit from a butthole, like, this wouldn't be a problem. And so many characters in-game already, especially now, have some sort of self-damage boost. Damage boost a Psylocke with the Emma team-up. They just gain a 30% damage boost because it's Psylocke team-up, and now that does 30% of Psylocke's original damage as well to the person that Psylocke is already looking at, plus the damage boost. What are you going to do about it? You can't do anything. You're stupid for thinking you could do something about that. Emma's has base damage, and then even before, and I know it's true because I looked at the official Marvel Rivals, like all the numbers breakdown that they have, and I was looking at it, and I went, oh, because I was doing a video on how less healing actually increases a character that does less over time healing, increases the number you see at the end, even if the healing wasn't as impactful. And so I was looking at these numbers so I could do a video breaking that down, and I realized Emma has self-damage boost. Like, we all knew that when she hit 100, her damage skyrockets. But if you get close to 100, her damage goes up. And then you get 100, it goes up again. And then if you hit Diamond form, better damage than that high beam. And if you're playing with a Luna in this season and you use Diamond Formed, you have a damage boost. Luna can self-damage boost. There are just so many characters in this game who have some sort of change to their thing or a self-damage boost. Thing has a self-damage boost with his team up. Mag has a 12-second cooldown self-damage boost with his team up. You lose nothing from playing 3 tanks. You lose nothing from playing 3 supports. The only time you lose something is when you play 3 DPS. They need to tone back everything, make those supports have to play with with 2 other supports, because simply for the reason why. Like, let's take Adam, for example. How would we make Adam not shit from a bot? Well, first off, you remove the healing cycling, the hitting headshots to reduce your cooldowns. Fine. I'd even say that could say, because that is a skill check. Fine, whatever. But on the right click, you shouldn't be reducing your healing, especially now that he has the Ultron team up and he can hit his teammates with the right click, and so you don't even have to hit an enemy. You just get healing for healing. You make his ultimate not give you 100 health, 100% of your health off rip, just 30%. And then you take his ultimate, and however long it takes the other supports to get, let's say on average it takes the other supports a minute to get their ultimate. Then the cooldown for Soul Bond is 1 minute. And you make it function like a miniature support ultimate because that's what it is. Loki, how long does it take to get an ultimate? Even if you buff those abilities so they're closer to the power level of ultimates, that's fine. Especially with someone like Loki. Make his runes his ultimate. They can be broken. It's actually balanced because some characters can break it better than others. And he has to set up to do it, and then it gives him the option to use his ultimate on something other than healing. Because he's another 3rd support farm. Like, you can play him in double support, but he farms on 2nd support, on double support. But the only problem with that becomes you can actually then copy your 2nd support. Like, Loki's design, by design, giving Loki 2 support ultimates in his kit is shit from a bot. It's shit from a bot, and especially since the Loki lamps can be used on, I think it's a 30, maybe 40-second cooldown. That's faster than you get some ultimates. It should be not that. Rework his ultimate or rework his lamps. Something. You can make these characters not shit from a bot, so that way there is not shit from a bot, but not like no trade-off to playing them at all. Because there is a way to do it. Like for Adam, I said it. You just don't give him that much healing. Make him play, or make his healing like really diminish the more people he's trying to heal. Because if he plays on an off angle by himself, using his flight mode to be aggressive, take angles, he should be allowed. That's the best part. That's the whole point. Increases damage, so he's more competitive in that field. So he keeps up with characters like Elsa, Hela, so he can play off angles and be a support that is on the sidelines, support that is be more aggressive. He's not a sit behind your team support. He is a sustained poke character, but he gets out damaged from other people. The only good thing about it is that he lives a long time and he has the revive. Then you have to shit on his ultimate, and it's a mass res, yeah, but you can kill through it. It's not a full health mass res that someone you can just heal and you're immediately at full health plus the bonus health that's just now starting to decay. Because that's a problem. I don't know why nobody has gone, well, maybe Adam's kit. Maybe the way they designed Adam is the problem. Because it's the problem. The fact that I can play Ultron, or I can play Mantis, and I don't lose any damage for playing those characters in triple support. I don't lose a lot of healing, especially now with their team-ups and the new team-up system. And I get damage boost on like a 10-second cooldown for Ultron, and whenever I want for Mantis, as long as I'm hitting headshots. That is a problem. You don't lose anything, you only gain. You only gain things from not playing DPS. That is a problem. There should be a reason to play 2-2-2 as the most balanced team comp. Triple tank. You lose damage, but you gain sustain through damage negation, and there's more to heal, meaning more support ultimates. Short circuit. Triple support. You should lose damage, but you gain healing, making it harder to get support ultimates, but you also gain utility that keeps your team alive, either through protecting your backline from dive, or protecting your front line with things like a cloak bubble, because now you can use it on them because you have 3 supports in the backline. Things like that. With the new team-up system to give themselves damage boosts, the amount of damage boosts that are just in the game, like there's no reason not to play Cloak in triple support, right? Because Cloak can damage boost your team and vulnerability them, and it stays there, by the way. If they walk through it or you walk through it, you get the bonus again until it goes away, because that's fair for some reason, that they just can't walk forward and you are super incentivized to walk through that as your whole team and get damage boosted in triple support when you already are doing the same amount of damage as you would in 222. It's not triple support itself, plain and simple, because I triple DPS. There should be a trade-off, and right now, that's the only team comp that has a trade-off for playing triple DPS. You lose sustain, either through healing if you give up a support, or through frontline, through your damage negation and health bar. You lose sustain, but you gain a lot of damage and a lot of offensive, oppressive cooldowns. You gain those, which is why it's really good, especially if I'm playing like, let's say you play Venom. Venom in his prime, and then you play 3 DPS. Maybe 2 are just gunners, and 1 is a dive. Venom and someone dives, and then these 2 people are super oppressive. Everyone is super oppressive and super attacking all at the same time, and you hope that they mistake, and then you get kills quickly. And if you can get kills quickly, you just walk through them. There is a reason to play that team comp if you can do that. But you can't do that against triple support or triple tank because their sustain is so high and they lose nothing for playing that team comp. I don't think triple support should just get thrown out, because if you do that, you have to rework characters to the point where they are not their original character. And I am for reworks in some cases, but in most cases, I think if you take a character and you change them to the point where they are not the original character anymore, that is bad. The only cases that I thought that would have been necessary is Black Panther, Widow, which already happened, and I don't like the way they did it. I had an idea for a way that you could do it that definitely would have been better and kept the integrity of the character, but whatever. And those are the only 2. Genuinely, I don't think anyone else needs a rework. But even if you roll lock, like in the Boga video, they said, oh, cap it at 2 supports, cap it at 2 tanks then, and cap it at 2 DPS. Force everyone to play 2-2-2. And then the problem with that becomes Wolverine. What do you do about him? Well, the only really good thing you can play against Wolverine is 1 tank, but that's no longer in the game, so you have to rework Wolverine. Okay, but then you have Iron Fist, which is just mini Wolverine, because in order to keep him relevant and 2-2-2, you would have to buff his damage. Buffing his damage increases the percentile damage, and then he becomes Wolverine 2. Okay, well, then you have to rework Iron Fist. Anything with percentile damage needs to be reworked, because you could play an entire team comp in this game, genuinely an entire team comp that has percentage damage, and just farm tanks front to back, and then it still stays front to back, massive amount of damage trying to sustain. It can still be done. Thing, Elsa, Iron Fist, Wolverine. There's no real supports that do percentile damage, so just percentile damage, so whatever supports you want. The Hood can do percentile damage. Emma doesn't. Hood only does it as ult, but still, there is enough characters in this game to play 2 tanks and 2 DPS of just percentile damage characters. Even if their whole kit isn't based around percentile damage, characters that do percentile damage. And then they need reworked, because then you could still just molest tanks and just work your way straight through them. And we have the same problem, where you have to heal and heal and heal as much as you can, or else your tanks eviscerate, or you have to play 3 tanks, but you can't do that anymore, and then the sustain becomes so high. If they just rework characters, change their numbers, change some of the buffs that they've given them, because the problem isn't the composition. I genuinely believe the problem isn't the composition. I believe the problem is the character design. These characters are not designed to give ebb and flow a trade-off. There should be a reason why you play them. Maybe in a niche scenario. They shouldn't work in every scenario forever, because I said this in my 2PS Luna is bad video. Luna used to not work against dive. It used to be that they're playing dive. I'm getting off of Luna. And that's good for the game. That's good for the game, but now you don't have to. Now it's they're playing dive. I don't care. Every single support in this game can survive every dive except Black Cat. And sure, maybe that's more fun for support players, but it's bad for the game. There's a reason why White Fox launched. White Fox launched and everyone lost their mind. Oh, that she's so good at dive. That's the one thing that she's meant to do. She's so bad against poke. She's kind of good against brawl, but not really, because for her to be good against brawl, it forces her to be in the brawl against it, whereas the other supports don't want to play that far, especially against brawl. The counter to brawl is poke. You don't want to be right next to the brawl, right? So she's not good against poke. She's not the best against brawl. She's really good against dive. That's the point. Support pool. I think support pool really good in a brawl. Genuinely, I think that's the one place he's good in, because his katanas healing to everybody, especially upgraded, healing to everybody, and then he gets ult so fast when he's in a brawl, because he's jumping on people's heads, because he's healing everyone around him, he gets it so fast, and I think that's good. Like, the characters should have their niches, but so many of the characters don't. There's no reason to play one character over another, and there's no reason to play 2-2-2 over triple support, or 2-2-2 over triple tank, or 2-2-2 over goats, because there is no trade-off to picking Atom over a DPS. There's no trade-off to picking Ultron over a DPS, and there's no trade-off to picking Mantis over a DPS. Because all of those characters keep you at the same amount of damage as if you were playing their DPS counterpart. And they provide healing. And if you're playing Loki or Atom, you provide a miniature support ultimate, and you provide a res or an actual support ultimate, and utility. Like, I don't understand why I'm the only one who sees that. Maybe I'm delusional. Maybe I'm just straight up donkey balls delusional. I'm relying on you guys to let me know, but yeah.